When I did the album, because I wasn't planning to do any more than that at the time, I chose songs that were influenced by the music I loved growing up. So Fireflies, for example, was actually Prince and Mariah Carey. Specifically like Mariah Carey mid-90s, when she started to use heaps of layering and textures for backing vocals and stuff like that, and just random parts that were coming in and out. But it was also based on like a lot of the stuff that Prince did in the early to mid-80s with how he was constructing songs.
I can hear that. Hear that in the beginning.
So that's like they're two major influences in music for me.
So how did you write that song? Because that's one of my favorite songs on your album, Fireflies. So can you talk about the process on that one?
Yeah. So I read a lot, and when I read a lot of classical literature, and I read a lot of medical journals, and I read a lot of research papers. So I did. Part of my degree was anthropology, which is like study of civilizations. I get really into that. And I, for whatever reason, went on a tangent, decided to have a look at, I had these bits of words in my head that were just going round and round about fireflies. And then I also had like this whole idea of somebody waiting in the dark, and just being like lit up, but the only person in the crowd that was lit up. But they're completely enshrouded by darkness, and you can see all these shadows, and that was where the imagery for Fireflies came. Like the first line is, she's waiting in the background, and there will be more. So then I actually started reading about fireflies, and they only light up for two predominant reasons. One is to warn predators that they're toxic, and the other one is to find a mate. And often when once they've found their mate, like a lot of insects, they sort of have this moment together and then they're just gone, and the light extinguishes. And then there was another predatory type of firefly species that is larger, and it attracts smaller species basically to eat them, so it's this whole web of why they light up. And that song in itself was about addiction, and consumerism, the way none of the what some people will consider at one point in their lives the glitzy things in life, drinking, clubbing, going out with your mates, and some people to some extent trying drugs and doing all of those things. Very few people do it in the light. It's always something that's done in the dark. But there's always some reason for it, and that reason is always quite well lit as to why they do it. So it's a seduction, and you'll know people that are like, oh no, it's all good. Like I only do it on weekends, or they'll say things like that. But reality is, it's every weekend over how many years, and sometimes they'll do it on a weekday, or maybe they have a holiday, and then it's just like a big bender and whatever. Like, it's not just addiction to drugs and alcohol, but addiction to the way we get addicted to people, and it consumes our entire life, and we shut everybody else out. So it's this whole thing of...
That sounds like my 20s.
But it is that thing, like it was definitely my 20s, like it's that thing of the fireflies. It's that larger thing that's pulling you towards it, and it looks beautiful, and you take or you participate in it, and it can either completely consume you or it can make you very scared. But it's always there, and it's always in the dark, and you know where to access it because there's a little light there. And if you go too far towards it, you're going deeper and deeper into it. But the thing is, the idea of them, all these people being in the shadows, is all the people that are doing, what's done in the shadows, So it's like that whole thing of hiding that side of yourself, and that actually feeds into the addiction of it, because feel like you have to hide it, it creates excitement. You know, when something's hidden.
Yeah.
And a lot of us have those stories as well, where it's like, you know, we may have done something on Saturday and then gone straight to church in the morning with sunglasses, sat at the back and...
Oh, that's like my 20s then.
But it's all of those things. You
Yeah.
can become addicted to people. You can, and it's a seduction.
Yeah.
You don't actually know. Addiction doesn't become addiction until you no longer realize that it's something that you can control.
Shucks, we did this deep.
That's what Fireflies was about.
There's another Firefly song, but I didn't think it was as deep as that one.
Oh, I like that song.
I like, but not as layered as that one. You know,